somehow see what's beautiful, and its red eyes so magical. I'm like the only one. And when I ba ba da ba 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 ba. What? No, I don't have that. I was about to say. I was about to say. No way. Ain't no way. I only know. I just lost a saxophone and it's an eye so magical. I need your help with something, okay? I need to know what game are we gonna play next? Because that is very important to know. Um, because, I need to wash it up. Oh, goodness. Mm, shut up. Yeah. Now that we've finished The Walking Dead, I need to know. Oh, like. Bro, is that actually live? No, it leaked again. What did they lie for? I don't know. Anyways, I was trying to figure out the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. Cause apparently it's out. But I don't know. I can't tell. Okay. Sony Pictures, maybe. I thought it was released. What? What the heck? Where is it? Oh, I'm getting scammed. Mm, I don't know. Can't seem to find. What?
Rango has become.
Hold on. We gotta watch this. Okay. Hold up. I'm sorry, was there not a trailer? Oh. Yeah, 3 months. And I haven't gotten anything. Will arrive next week. Spider-Man website? Oh, was that the trailer for? The trailer for was this for the Spider-Man website. What is this? Just show us the trailer, bro. Show us the trailer, bro. Okay. No. I was lied to. I think it was your trailer for the website, which is stupid, but you know, it is what it is. Anyways,
known as
saw this on the For You real quick. I'm gonna do some reacts, maybe game a bit, but we'll see. I saw this on the For You, and I was very confused by it because how do I say it? Rango is a pretty good movie, is it not? Like, Rango, I'm pretty sure is like a really good movie, you know? And I was just shocked based off the title because I liked Rango. I think a lot of other people liked Rango. And this is looking underrated movie, you know what I'm saying? So, check this out, I guess.
as one of the biggest anomalies of the 2010s. It doesn't look or feel like anything else from its era.
Instead of motion capture, it's kind of emotion capture.
And the Oscar goes to Rango Gorbabinsky.
With
It was a
its
good
gritty
movie.
animation, oddly existential humor, and
Yeah.
offbeat tone, the movie is one of a kind. But the same things that made Rango stand out are also what made it so divisive when it first hit theaters. While critics
okay.
praised its bold style, some parents were genuinely offended. Complaints
What?
poured in about the language,
Of course.
depictions of smoking, and the way it
It's a Wild West movie, bro.
handled its spiritual themes.
It's a
There were
Wild West
calls for
movie,
a
no?
stricter rating, and some even labeled the film sacrilegious. From the
What?
very beginning, Rango's development was unconventional. It wasn't some big corporate attempt to compete with Pixar and DreamWorks. The film was a near decade-long passion project
Decade?
where everything slowly fell into place. The
Oh.
idea for the movie first emerged in 2003 during a breakfast
Makes sense that like the animation's a bit different.
meeting between director Gore Verbinski, producer John B. Carls, and author David Shannon, who was best known for children's books like A Bad Case of
Oh,
Stripes
I
and
know
No
that one.
David.
Oh,
He pitched
No
an
David.
idea for a western about creatures in the desert, and while the premise was simple, it resonated with all three of them.
Okay.
Verbinski was eager to start working on the film. They had already drawn some concept art and written a short
a rat?
outline of
I don't
their
think there was a
vision,
rat,
but at
no.
the time he was already in the middle of directing Pirates of the Caribbean, so he decided to hold off until he was done with the project.
Yeah, it makes
But
sense.
Gore had no idea just how successful Pirates of the Caribbean
Yeah, it was like
would be.
those like top 3 movies, I think, in that year probably.
And after
was a
it
top
ended up
movie for
grossing
sure.
over $600 million,
It's good, a good movie franchise.
they
as
had
well.
to do more. He went on to direct the second and third Pirates films. By 2007, he had helped Disney create a billion-dollar franchise and gained extensive experience
Yeah, like the
working with some of
tentacles.
the top VFX artists in
Yeah,
the industry.
that was really good for its time.
With that behind him, Gore Verbinski could revisit their rough idea from 4 years earlier, the one that
That's why it took a decade, because they had the idea, but since he worked on the Pirates movies, he couldn't really work on the Rango, because like the Pirates movie was like such a big
would
franchise.
slowly take shape as Rango.
I think when you make sequels, the danger is you fall into a trap of the known, you know, and it was really good to get back to something that you don't know if you.
So like get used to different things.
When a shopping cart smashed my headlight, we worried we'd have to fight to get paid for such a small claim.
And life would revolve around the shopping cart.
You don't know what you're doing, kind of, in a way.
Very early on, they knew what kind
Get
of
too
story they
comfortable.
wanted to tell. A lizard on a journey of self-discovery. They just had to figure out what it would look like. The designers pitched an array of ideas, but there was one sketch in particular that stood out. The way it was framed allowed the team to clearly visualize the film's tone and aesthetic. A dry, gritty world that looked and felt like an old western. This
Okay.
helped lay the framework for every shot, set piece, and especially the characters. If they wanted to create an authentic vibe, the creatures had to look and act like their real-life counterparts to some extent. They chose a chameleon as the main protagonist. The obvious reason was that chameleons use camouflage to blend in, and blending in was central to the film's themes of
Ooh,
personal
okay,
identity.
okay,
This
okay, okay. That's tough. They connecting even the animals to the plot.
Additionally, the species was an aquatic chameleon, which meant it couldn't naturally survive in the desert, making him seem even more out of place. They also realized that chameleons move their eyes independently, which could be utilized to convey a wide range of different expressions. The mare character
To like give him more life.
had to have been there for a long time, so tortoise immediately came to mind. They thought of a lizard that freezes up in a catatonic state like some lizards do, and desert rodents that burrow and emerge from the ground.
Desert
The
rodents.
goal was to craft an ensemble of believable characters with realistic imperfections, where
Ooh.
the audience could understand a lot about someone and their story just by looking at them. With the setting, it made sense that the town itself would be built from found objects.
No, but that's Loki. I love the set of this, by the way. The set is like really cool because it's like it feels like a normal Western set, but like miniature because of all the little props they have.
Scraps and junk repurposed into buildings and structures. For the cast, Johnny Depp was the first to come on board. He had already expressed interest in the role when Verbinski pitched the idea to him during the making of Pirates of the Caribbean 2. So when it came
Okay.
time to finally bring him on, it didn't take much convincing.
So what did he do to
Oh, that's
convince you to
good.
do it? What was the pitch?
You know what? He didn't even have to. You know, he didn't have to go through any song and dance, nothing. It was basically, he said, I got this idea of a lizard on an existential quest in epic Western. And I just said, okay, well, you know, I'm in. You know.
Gore, along with a small
That's
team
cool.
of artists and designers, spent 16 months working out of a house in Pasadena,
16
California,
months?
sketching out the film's plot. At
Yeah.
the time, there
That's
was
just
no
for plot.
guarantee it would even get made, but eventually Paramount Pictures stepped in and agreed to produce and distribute Rango under Nickelodeon Movies. The partnership effectively
Ooh.
birthed a new studio called Paramount Animation. After years
Really?
of planning
Ah, that's
and
pretty cool.
deliberation,
It's like the
production
start.
officially began in 2008. Even though it was animated, the team was determined to preserve that grounded,
Yeah, this was my like
realistic
my
feel
favorite part of the movie. They like
in the
basically got to
final
act
product.
out the
So they
scenes
took a unique
basically.
approach. Rather than using motion capture, they used traditional keyframe-based CGI. But the actors weren't just recording their lines in booths. Verbinski had them perform the scenes together on a stage with
Yeah.
props and costumes.
This is really
acting everything
cool.
out physically so the animators could capture the energy and realism of a live performance. The cast
That's what I
members
really
noted
liked.
that
I don't think any other movie has done that ever since.
at times they felt ridiculous doing it.
Well, initially it felt ridiculous, you know what I mean? All the actors felt really stupid.
Plenty of animated movies used real footage for reference, but this was another level. It added extra costs and consumed more time, but
Yep.
Gore Verbinski simply didn't know any other way. Directing actors on a physical stage was what he was used to, and he wanted to stay within his comfort zone. But this commitment to realism, to making Rango feel like a true Western, was where some felt the film began pushing the boundaries a little too far. Rango drew heavy inspiration from classic movies like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly,
Yep.
Chinatown, and The Shakiest Gun in the West. It even included multiple direct references to those films, among many others.
You son of a... Just a dirty son of a...
In most movies from that era,
I need to watch
especially
that movie.
Westerns, characters were often seen smoking or drinking alcohol. Smoking reflected the historical presence of tobacco use.
It's crazy to think that these like Western movies it was only like 50 years later than the Western era. It was like 50 years after the Western era, which is crazy to think about, you know?
in the Old West and its glamorization in Hollywood throughout the 20th century. The creators of Rango felt that a Western movie without characters smoking wouldn't feel authentic. It was a key element of the Western aesthetic. Additionally, they realized that most of the audience members who would actually catch the references were adults, so they gradually leaned into mature jokes, stronger language, and subtle nods. As the release date approached, it became more and more clear that they weren't making a standard kids movie. The directors, writers,
They're making a
producers,
movie for
and actors
everyone.
were all determined to push the boundaries of what an animated film could be. And for better or worse, that's what they did.
You might say I'm from everywhere there's trouble brewing and hell waiting to be raised.
That's a really cool, like,
You might say I'm what hell was raised up.
place. That's like, what you call it? The red carpet?
Name's Rango.
Rango officially premiered in March 2011, and for the most part, critics were impressed. The movie had a distinct visual style with fluid animation, and while the story clearly drew from many influences, it still felt fresh and inventive. It was funny, sincere, and by the end, genuinely inspirational.
I had such a great time watching this movie. It is not at all what I would expect from an animated film. It doesn't feel like an animated film to me.
I think it was, like, besides, I wouldn't say it was the first one to, like, change what animated films were like. Like, I think Shrek was the first one to, like, change the feel and everything, but I think this went deeper in a sense.
Western. If you like westerns, you will like Rango. In fact, you might just love it.
It's Governminski's best film.
This is probably the best CGI animation I have ever seen.
Each character stood out in their own way, brought to life by a stellar cast. Johnny Depp was especially praised as a perfect choice for the lead, often described as a chameleon for his ability to transform into vastly different roles.
Yeah, like,
he was hilarious, yet
how can, like,
also
he like looks like completely different in all his movies.
the emotional beats perfectly. Rango was a breath of fresh air that actually had something to say. It even ended up winning the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature.
Someone asked me if this film was for kids, and I don't know, but it was certainly created by a bunch of grown-ups acting like children.
But while reviews were mostly positive, the acclaim wasn't unanimous. No one could deny that the film featured cutting-edge animation and standout performances, but many viewers took issue with its tone. Rango was rated
I think it was a good tone.
like many Pixar and DreamWorks titles. In the lead up to its release, it was marketed as a family-friendly animated movie, but that wasn't exactly what audiences got. As reviews started pouring in,
It wasn't
more and
really
more parents were
family-friendly.
expressing their disappointment. They described it as having offensive language and suggestive comments. They used several curse words, there's a lot of crude behavior, also splattered uses of mild sexual content, including a reference to lesbians that my 11-year-old picked right up on. This should have been rated higher because of the language and violence.
Wait, how did your kid pick right up on that?
Cringed every time I heard language I knew my 7-year-old would repeat for shock value. To have a movie masquerading as family friendly that
I think if it was advertised like PG-13 maybe, I think there wouldn't be anything against it.
Beyond belief. Like all movie releases, some people's reactions were extreme, but even those who liked it were confused about who the film was for.
It's an animated movie, but it's not really for kids.
It's very adult. It is very
it's
adult.
definitely very adult.
I don't get like who the movie's made for.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it seems like all the jokes are for the parents.
This is not a kids film, even though it's put out through like Nickelodeon. And it's
that's the
PG.
problem is like rated PG, I think.
It's not a children's film.
At the end of the day, the creators weren't trying to trick audiences into corrupting their children. Obviously, it was all in service of making something that fit their vision.
It's not G.
Yep.
Golf Galaxy is the place for players obsessed with the game. Get ready for launch.
Today, business happens virtually everywhere. That's why you need Supermobile from T-Mobile.
Shut up.
Right, it says parental guidance suggested. You know? So you should, as a parent, I think, and I'm a parent, you should, use some guidance.
Still, a lot of the references and most of the jokes were directed at adults, and there were multiple scenes involving character deaths, as well as mentions of hanging and other forms of violence. The film didn't have the smooth, colorful...
But like, is it their fault? Like, I don't know how rating works. Like, I'm pretty sure a company goes out of their way to rate it, but
corporate look that families had come to expect. Instead, it was rough and dark, much like the Mojave Desert setting and the characters who inhabited it. But the mature language wasn't even the biggest complaint about Rango. Many parents and advocacy groups were shocked by just how much smoking appeared on screen.
It's a
According
Western?
to Breathe California, the Sacramento anti-smoking organization,
It's a Western?
there were at least 60 instances of smoking in the film. The only other animated film to match Rango was 101 Dalmatians. They went as far as labeling the movie a public health hazard. People believed that the creators were encouraging the use of tobacco.
What?
And that it would lead kids into doing it themselves. The combined outrage of parents and organizations sparked a collective campaign to get Rango an R rating.
R-rated? Did they do that for 101 Dalmatians? No. Why would they do it for Rango? Actually, what's the rating on 101 Dalmatians? Uh... 100 Dalmatians. It was rated a G. And it had as much smoking as Rango. R is too much, bro.
Despite
That's
their efforts,
over-exaggeration.
the petitions had no effect,
Makes
and the
sense.
film
Okay.
retained its PG rating.
Okay,
Yet
that's
it
fine.
didn't stop there. The film also faced significant backlash from certain religious circles, not just for its language, death, smoking, or alcohol use, but for the story itself. On Rango's journey of self-discovery, there are multiple mentions of a mythical gunslinger known as the Spirit of the West.
This is my quest.
That's a reference to Clint Eastwood, maybe.
He waits for me.
What? Who?
The spirit of the West, amigo.
Rango even has a spiritual encounter with the character near the end of the movie. The figure he meets is essentially a Clint Eastwood archetype, who appears as a quiet guide and mentor during
He's just a
Rango's
metal
lowest
detector guy,
moment.
right?
He's referenced repeatedly throughout the film, with characters treating him as a godlike being. There's a scene where the animals gather around a fire, hold hands, and pray to him, ending with an amen.
Thank you, Spirit of the West. Amen.
By the way, this is a story about fictional animals who can talk in a Western location.
Because of how the film frames this character, some online communities claimed it was mocking Christianity, many of which gave it a moral rating of offensive. Additionally, the townspeople placed their faith in the mayor, who manipulates the water scarcity to his advantage, stating that if you control the water, you control everything. Some viewers interpreted this as a metaphor for religious leaders using faith to control people and maintain power. In some spaces, the movie became a target of moral panic, with claims that it was going to corrupt children. The movie is spiritual but worships the wrong god, the Spirit of the West, who actually appears in man form near the end of the movie. Many references to the way we worship Jesus, God, are used to worship this false god, with amen and hallelujah used frequently. I felt this movie has the potential to plant a seed in young viewers to associate religious leaders with the mayor, since they have used so many religious buzzwords with him, and possibly cause the kids to have a bad feeling about religion and its leaders, and that they may feel silly and stupid for believing in
You know, you don't have to watch the movie, right? You don't have to.
a fairy tale like that, because the ending does not glorify God, but rather
Like, before you watch the movie, you could read the reviews based off of that, and then you just don't have to watch it. If you really think that your kid's gonna change.
sums it all up that spirituality is a hoax. Characters that have been identified as stupid, ugly looking, and just plain turn your stomach are shown praying and doing activities associated with Christianity. This movie by Nickelodeon seemed to be yet another subversive attack on religion, specifically Christianity, with impressionable children as the target audience. The reptile hero stands as a non-believer's version of Christ, a nobody somebody coming from nowhere who creates his identity, making it up as he goes along. The mayor tells him everyone needs something to believe in. Right now, they believe in you. The concept here is that faith is a good thing, but has nothing to do with reality or truth. Sexual talk, violence.
I think it's more of a hope type thing. Like hope that they have a new hero or something.
Murder, lies, profanity, references to the pit, praying to a spirit and not God. Wake up, people. Satan is trying to reach your children at an early age.
Or maybe it's just a kid's movie about animals in a Western film that has adult jokes. What was the rating for Shrek? What was the rating? T for teen, okay. I guess like Shrek 2 is rated E for everyone. Oh wait, no, that's Shrek 1 on the Xbox. Shrek was rated PG. Shrek was rated PG. The Shrek movie rated PG. Like, I guess maybe based off the trailers, it was a bit off, but like, bro, I think people are taking it a bit too seriously.
As a Christian parent, I have to strongly recommend you keep your children from this movie. Most of the concerns people had were pretty over the top, and the creators of Rango had no malicious intent behind the film. There's always going to be parents that overanalyze movies, but Rango did provide them with plenty of ammo to fuel their interpretations. It's darker, more vulgar, and bleaker than most animated movies, even by today's standards. But there are millions of people who watched it when they were young and loved it. Maybe it should have received a higher suitability rating, or maybe it should have been marketed differently. Regardless,
I think it was probably the marketing. Because if it was marketed as like a high-tone movie, then probably, but...
Makers made the movie they wanted to make, and to this day, there's nothing quite like it.
Yeah, I think they're just overreacting.
Mom, we need your help.
Shut up, you bumbleclad. Yeah, I think it was more of just a people overreact, which is true all the time, you know. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, it's just unfortunate. People, you know, people overreact and then, you know, sometimes ruin stuff, which is unfortunate. But in the end of the day, that's all up to your interpretation. You can enjoy something or
tax
not.
Expertise without hidden fees. Switch to a TurboTax expert for $150. All tax situations, all returns, $150, all in, no surprises. Now this
Hurry up.
is taxes.
Shield by Garden Health does a colon cancer screening that's really easy to do. And I want to share the
Okay.
I wanted to
Lock in. This is peak. This is about to be peak right here. Why is Kenny the best flawed character in The Walking Dead?
check on you.
It's facts.
Make sure you're okay.
Facts.
You know what it feels like to get beaten almost to death. Peaceful. It feels peaceful. It was like I was floating away, watching the whole thing happen to me. And then I woke up again, and nothing's changed. I'm still taking a beating. Every day. Duck, Katjaa, Sarita. No peace. No rest. The punches just keep coming. Why
Damn.
the hell couldn't Carver have just finished me off? Obviously, I ain't helping anyone by being here.
That's the coldest line in the entire game, bro. Like, he just like, yeah.
That's not true. You help me all the time. I need you.
I've seen you take care of yourself more than any 3 adults put together.
That is true.
Thanks for saying that.
So Kenny in particular is one of those characters in Telltale's The Walking Dead that's really complex, so much so that his character is one where you can't exactly easily talk about without really getting deep within the story. Within the story though, Kenny as a person shows a lot of ups and downs within himself, not so much in a way in which is negative, but more so expressing how himself as a character is flawed in a positive way. With this, I want to explain why I think Kenny is the best flawed character in Telltale's The Walking Dead. Now, our first interactions with Kenny are at Hershel's farm.
W
where
interaction,
after
by the way.
Clementine escaped from Clementine's home from walkers and took shelter from the Herschels, Kenny introduces himself to Lee and Clementine. As typical introductions go, Kenny explains how him and his family took shelter at Hershel's, this also introducing his family as well. Katja, his wife, and Duck, his son. Kenny, from when we first get introduced to him and later on in season 1, portrays pretty well that he's very family oriented.
Yep,
saying
makes
that's
sense.
what really matters
Like
above
that,
all
like
things.
like he says, like, hey, one of the first things he says is like family matters most or something.
As well as doing what's best for his family and others. From hanging around with Kenny, you would also take note that Kenny is very emotional when it comes to certain things, like for instance not always agreeing on the same
He
things,
is very
leading Kenny
emotional.
to be quite stubborn and hard to deal with. His
That
ultimate
is
care
true,
for his
but-
family is shown quite a few times. One example is him defending his son from Larry's accusations that he was bit, despite not being the case. From this,
Exactly.
it would seem to us that Kenny is an all-around
Larry
good
was doing
dude
too
who
much,
wants
though.
to do the best for his family and for the people that he cares
He
about.
had to go.
With this, though, we slowly start to see the shift in his character towards the start of episode 3. For episode 3, this episode in season 1 is known pretty heavily to be the part of the story where everything goes downhill for the group.
Yep.
But for some, even worse, in which Kenny is one of them. The episode goes downhill as the group gets raided.
Literally,
by-
I think like basically the entire group is gone except for Lee, Kenny, Clementine, and Ben. 4 people out of Lee, Clementine, Ben, Doug, Katja, Carly. You lose half the group in this episode, which is crazy to think about.
bandits, which the group escape in the RV. After the situation,
You lose
with
half
Lily,
the
where she
group in this
shoots
one
Carly
episode.
For a remark she made, and thinking that she was the one that was sneaking supplies to the bandits, we get informed by Kenny and Katja that apparently Duck got bit during the raid. From this point on starts the shift in development in Kenny's character throughout the
Me personally, I wouldn't let myself get bit that easily.
rest of season 1. Now the group end up finding a freight train and thus try to see if they can get it to work. That way they can get to Savannah. The group successfully get it to work. Though you see the small victories, you can see Kenny slowly going into denial of the fact that his son is dying and will die if he doesn't deal with the problem. Which clearly, seeing as the group are moving along the tracks, you can witness Kenny firsthand, showing that he ultimately doesn't want to believe that what is happening is truly happening. What's interesting is the conversation
Nah, but what Katja did was kind of messed up though, leaving Kenny like that.
where Lee is trying to persuade Kenny in stopping the train for Duck. He mentions that he feels as though he deserves it since he believes that it was his fault that Sean Green's death was because of him, and that also his son getting bit was his doing.
You think you're the reason Duck was bitten? Like you had this coming or something? You didn't kill Herschel's son.
Yes, I did. And now it's catching up to me.
That's not what went down. You looked out for your kid, and a bad thing happened to someone else's.
Imagine if they stayed on Herschel's farm, like Loki. I'd love to see like a what if episode, like combining Lee and like Kenny's group with Rick Grimes' group, bro. That'd be so tough. Imagine the possibilities though. Well, we need a what if Walking Dead though, for real. Like just a TV show or something. Like a what if scenarios, what if episodes, even like good what if scenarios, right? Like for example, what if Sean had survived, right? Maybe Lee and Kenny's group would have stayed a bit longer to meet Rick Grimes. Like I would have loved to see that interaction. It would have been cinema.
No way this world lets my son live when I help put someone else's in the ground.
That's not the way it works. know that. Stop the train, man.
I convinced them. Just the saying, I didn't fight with him. I did convince him.
Snap your W-2 and file your taxes 100% free.
Next.
Eventually, though, Kenny does stop the train, and him and Katjaa decide to say their goodbyes to Duck, as they know full well that they have to put him out of his misery. Kenny and Katjaa take Duck into the woods to prevent Clementine from seeing, but not too long after them walking into the woods, we hear a gunshot. Lee rushes into the woods to see what happened, and sad enough, we see that Katjaa took herself out.
Why'd she do that, bro?
To deal with the pain of losing
She
her
didn't
child.
even, like, she just left Duck there? She just left Duck there.
Oh. Kenny, mourning, rightfully so, questions what should they do with Duck. Lee and Kenny both realize that they have to shoot Duck, and so they do. Right here in this moment is the moment
You have to shoot Duck for Kenny. Like, you would never, like, nah, you have to. There's no questions. Later on, with the kid in the attic, you have to let Kenny shoot him. Right? Like, your own son, don't let him do it. Some random kid that looks like him, you have to let him do it. You have to let him get over that fear, you know?
Kenny lost his purpose. What I mean by this is that Kenny, like I said earlier, was very family-oriented and willing to do anything to keep his family
And he just
safe.
lost his whole
Anything
family.
he can as a father and a husband to do what's best for their well-being and ultimately provide as much as he can for them. But for them to be gone just like that, Kenny outright feels as though from himself failed. In his heart, he failed as a father, failed as a husband, and overall failed at protecting the only things that he cared about for in this dying world, his family. And for him to lose them, he lost his purpose, and so from this point forward, he's directionless. Even though Kenny says that they'll find a boat in Savannah multiple times, Kenny ultimately doesn't know what to do with himself. As you can see throughout the rest of the season, he's very broken down and unmotivated. But one of the things that you see in Kenny towards the latter half of the story is that he becomes sensitive to things that remind him of family. What I mean is that there's a few times within the story where Kenny had to deal with whether his own or other people's family, more specifically sons. You had the incident with Sean Green where Kenny felt guilty and responsible for his death and later tells that he feels that way towards Lee on the train. Also his own son dying and having to deal with the results of that, and as well as the child in the attic not being able to deal with the loss of another child despite him not being his own. These three instances together further putting himself into this long spiral of guilt and remorse, which is why in episode 5 we see him trying to redeem himself of his guilt and remorse.
He just said, like, I couldn't let another kid die,
There's
you
two
know?
ways the story goes. You either have Ben in the group where Kenny decides to put himself at risk and save Ben, or you have Kenny try to save Krista trying to get the radio that they
I
need
think
to find Clementine.
saving Ben was a much better choice because it seemed more like him. Like, saving Krista didn't really make sense, but, like, saving Ben kind of felt like a redemption, you know?
Both stories are very similar, which you have Kenny supposedly die, saving another person in the group. Me personally, the not having Ben saving Krista fits better in terms of Kenny doing the action of risking his own life, makes sense, but the route where you have Ben in the group and him stuck in the alleyway from the railing fits Kenny's overall development as a
that's what I was saying.
character. So in terms of Kenny's character, we'll go over the route if he had been in the group still after Crawford. Lee and Kenny end up going down there to see if they can help Ben, but soon realize that Ben is impaled by one of the railings. And
Nah, I would have said, just take me out, boss. Just take me up. Take me up. Like, I would say, just, bro, just remove that.
Kenny
Like,
tells Lee to leave him to find Clementine. Lee obviously
like, I'd be like, I'd be like, yo, pull me out, boss. Pull me out. Like, it might just kill me, but, like, pull me out. I might as well, bro.
refuses, but Kenny
Might as
locks
well try.
himself out and goes on to prevent Ben to suffer by shooting him and escape from the alley. This whole scene of Kenny risking his life for Ben to potentially save him is all in the result in which he feels as though this is his chance to redeem himself, not letting another son die.
How does he get out, though? He must have used some type of guts. Or maybe he shot one of the walkers and just put a walker on top of him. It's probably the most likely scenario.
Not just with the previous sons dying, but also the conversation that he had with Ben, where Ben stands up for himself on what he's dealing with, and so with that also gives more of a reason as to why Kenny did what he did. The whole action more or less trying to forgive himself by doing something to prevent what has happened before. And the way the lines in that scene went were so great because it just added on to how great the scene was portrayed. and how Kenny as a character develops. As far as that scene goes, that's pretty much the rest of what we get to see of Kenny, at least until season 2, which is where his character really gets examined.
Yeah, I think his character grows so much in season 2. I love season 2 Kenny way more than season 1. Like season 1, like I'm like I literally sided him with like everything except for saving his kid. Like I saved Sean, cause like I thought he would get Duck, and for some reason he didn't want to come with me. Like what? To find Clementine.
We get to meet Kenny again after not seeing him ever since Savannah in season 1 at the ski lodge. Clementine and Kenny end up catching up with each other of what happened since then. After that, it seems that we see the normal Kenny again, which that doesn't end up being the case. From this point onward in the story, there are subtle and very apparent displays of Kenny not exactly being himself, as talked about from Sarita, Kenny's new lover. That not too long after Clem and Kenny's talk, that she asked Clem if Kenny seems different since she never knew anything about his life before meeting her.
Nah.
I wanted to ask you.
He did seem a bit different though.
Kenny seemed different to you. I didn't know him before, and well, I'm curious.
I feel like he did seem a bit different.
He has good days and bad days like everyone else. But lately I get the feeling
he does seem a bit different.
Struggling.
He does seem different than I remember.
In what way?
I'm not sure.
This is like 2 years later, by the way.
Well, you three have been busy.
Kenny, isn't it great?
I got it, hon.
I think I can manage, Ken.
I said I got it.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Which this comment, though it may seem small at first, really just gives you a fair warning on what's to come later in the season. The reason as to why Kenny is such a well-flawed character is the display of how human he is. What do you mean? Well, earlier I said how Kenny is a family man, a guy that would do anything to protect, provide, or anything to secure the well-being of his family. With that though, there have been cases where Kenny wouldn't confront the things that need to be dealt with, and so that lack of action practically cost him everything in season 1. With that same mindset of family to him, what made him lose almost everything again in season 2. He's afraid of what happened to his family in season 1 would happen to his loved ones in season 2.
Yep.
That's why you see Kenny be so adamant and aggressive of certain things, because he doesn't want to be alone again and leave that hole inside empty once again.
Yep. But he's got Clementine, bro.
I had to do it.
Fucking dare you, Clementine! It isn't gonna go like this. Kenny! I won't be left alone.
I hate Mike. I hate Mike. I just had to say, I hate Mike.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of different words people would use to describe Kenny in season 2. One of the more popular words that keeps getting brought up is abuser, and I can see from a perspective as to why people would think that, as you can see that even towards the people that he cares about, he shows a lot of aggression from time to time, as well as hateful verbiage. With that though, I wouldn't classify it as abuse or abuser.
I think this is the best
I don't
scene.
believe he's doing it on purpose. If there was a word that would
It really
give
shows his
Kenny, it's
character.
broken. I could add
Oh,
on
broken for
suffering
sure.
as well, but the guy is broken.
I'm definitely starting to think we might need to branch out.
You okay?
It's different, but you'll love
Luke shouldn't have died, by the way. That was such a dumb reason.
Every adventure starts a little lonely. But don't rush. Just
That's
grow
AI, by
stronger,
the way.
step by step.
It's AI.
Meet.
What do you mean?
Jane seems like the kind of person who gets tempered by hardship, you know?
Yep.
But when I look at Kenny now, he seems broken. And broken people get reckless. I know you got a history with him. Look, I think he's a good guy. At least started as a good guy. But I just think he's had to take more than he can handle.
He is broken.
I mean, really take a solid look on from the time we first meet Kenny up until the Kenny versus Jane fight,
Well,
and
he's
really just
completely
witness
different
what has
opposites.
happened since. Guilty of Sean Green's death, and overall thinking that was his fault that he died.
Probably
His
was.
wife shoots herself for not being able to handle her son turning. Then right after had to deal with putting his son out of his misery.
No, we did
Couldn't
that.
save
Lee
Ben in
did
the
that.
Alleyway. Spends about almost 2 years alone after the events of Savannah. And fast forward to season 2, he witnesses his second lover die
Yo,
in the
Loki
horror
would love a DLC of After Savannah with Kenny.
and escape house. And the way the
Just
story
like
goes,
see
the
what
word
was going
majority
on
of
with
the
his
group
life.
talk behind
If he
Kenny's
ever
back,
met any, imagine he met like Rick Grimes.
saying to
No, I'm
each other,
kidding.
or even Clementine.
I don't
that
think
Kenny is
I don't think the
dangerous
timelines would
and
have
that she should
matched.
stay away from him
'Cause
because
they'd
at
been
any
in
moment
Virginia
Kenny
by then.
could just go absolutely insane. With this though, the whole idea for where the story was heading was to constantly remind you or give you reason to slowly stay away from, or perhaps permanently have Kenny not be present. It's easy to see from one perspective that Kenny's an asshole with all the actions he's done so far up, and overall think he's not a good guardian. But to really sit down and think of all that has happened to him to this point, you
Nah,
would
Jane
soon
was being
realize
a
that it
prick,
makes
though.
sense as to why Kenny is the way that he is.
Mhm.
With that, though, it's also interesting with Kenny's relationship with Clementine because, to be honest, she's the only one left that he can truly relate and vent to, since
Yep.
she was there to witness all the things that they went through in season
Yeah,
1.
and they both
Even
lost,
though they didn't
like,
talk
everyone.
that much to each other directly, the love and care towards each other was mainly transferred because of Lee. Lee still being a big influence between the two, mentioning multiple times of missing Lee and asking the
Yep.
question of what would Lee do.
They're scared of you, Kenny.
Well, if their big plan is to wander around in the woods, they ought to be scared of more than me.
Did you hear me?
We're all scared.
What would Lee do?
Look, we got maybe a day's worth of food for that kid left. That's it. Clem, think about Rebecca and Alvin. I mean, what if Lee hadn't gone tearing across half of Georgia looking for you? A lot of folks died to make that happen. A lot of folks died to get us this far.
The formula.
I don't know, but sitting around here ain't a way. I wish Lee was here.
I wish he was there too.
What you think he'd say?
Too early, man.
To not trust anyone.
We can't just give up on this kid. I mean, what's the point of going on after that? That's what people like Lee knew, and what people like Jane won't ever understand.
Jane should have died earlier. She should have just stayed leaving the group. She should have helped us and then left.
And with
Should have
what
been
Lee-
Luke or Kenny.
He did in season 1, taking care of Clementine like
It's
she
like,
was his own
are you more of a nostalgic type of person? Or are you more of like a...
child, and helping out
Yeah.
Kenny's family. Kenny already adopted the idea.
But that's the
of
thing, I don't
Clementine as
think Luke
family
and
because
Kenny
of-
would have gotten into a fight. Like, I don't think Luke would have been as dumb as, Jane, to drop off a kid in the middle of the winter storm, saying, oh, see how crazy he's gone?
what she and Lee did for him in the last season, taking the hard hits
Oh my
mentally and
gosh.
physically, literally, to protect
I
and
forgot
care for
about that.
Clementine. Now I know there may be people that say, "Oh, but there was plenty of characters where their families were gone or they lost loved ones, and they're handling pretty well." One, on the outside, they may seem tough, but you don't know truly what they're dealing with on the inside.
Yep.
And two, who's to say that everyone is going to deal with grief in the same way? To
Exactly.
be honest, the way that Kenny acts in
Like,
season
some
2
people,
shows
like-
a very good portrayal of what someone like him would most likely do in his situation.
I think most of us are more realistically, Kenny, because like a lot of people have their centers around their family, right? And not a lot of people is like separated like that. So I think a lot of us would be like relate to
That's why
Kenny
when
in
we
a
witness the
sense.
fight between Kenny and Jane, it makes sense as to why Kenny gets so heated to the point where he wants to kill Jane. Not just because he thought that Jane killed AJ or left him to die, but with what happened with Kenny so far up until this point.
And
AJ
then he
being
lost
perceived to be
AJ.
Dead was the last straw because he doesn't want to lose any more people that he loves and cares about. In episode 5, there are multiple endings after the Kenny v Jane fight where you can either be with
Psychopath
Kenny,
ending,
Jane,
psychopath
Wellington,
ending.
or alone by yourself. More specifically, I want to talk about a few scenes with Kenny. One where you shoot Kenny, leave him after finding out that AJ is alive, and 3 where he tells you to go to Wellington instead of staying with him. All of them are very similar in which all of them
I
have
stayed with
Kenny
Kenny.
say that he's not fit anymore to take care of the kids, as well as admit that he's going down a path that may lead to both Clem and AJ being in a dire situation or dead. I find this to be interesting because Kenny knew all along the way that this whole time that deep down he was going into a deadly spiral mentally. Really, the only
Kenny
thing
should have
keeping him
stayed
sane was
alive.
Clementine and eventually AJ in the later episodes. So
Kenny
he
should have
admits
stayed
and humbles
alive.
himself that letting them be in the care of someone else or separate from him in any way would be the best course of action. And though the ending of staying with Kenny all the way
Such a
and seeing the results
dumb-
of that choice in
dumb-
season 3 didn't do Kenny well,
That's such a dumb ending. He should have stayed alive.
justice-wise, despite his flaws, he was still taking care of Clementine and AJ years
stayed
after the
alive.
events of season 2. With this, I feel this is a great demonstration of how Kenny as a character is greatly flawed in a good way. Being able to see the overall change that overcame him along the way and the self-reflect towards the end of season 2.
Yeah, W video, but bro, that was such a dumb way to end it there. Man. That's such a such a dumb way. Yeah, like it doesn't even make sense logically speaking. Like if you look at it logically, right? It doesn't even make sense because like, how does he flip out of the car and then flip onto his back? You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense whatsoever. All right. Yep. Okay. Dun 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 dun. Okay. But yeah. Okay, we're gonna watch this video. Looks pretty interesting.
I don't think they take Discover here.
Derek FDB. Never heard of him. Does pretty cool videos.
Of course they take Discover. It's accepted in 99% of places.
This delectable Nor ramen noodle recipe will put an end to your drive-through dinner
Then after
rituals.
this,
Throw
we
that
could
Nor
play a
bouillon
game.
in that tasty combo. Delightful.
You know, I've gone over a lot of movies on this channel. Some that I liked, some that I didn't like, even some that y'all didn't like. But something that I've never gone over on this channel is movies that the world didn't like.
Oh.
And that's what we'll be doing today.
Okay.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be going over movies with some of the lowest rated
1-star rated movies.
and the most 1-star reviews I could find. To find out
Okay.
people
I
are
actually
just
don't.
hating.
I actually don't know the most 1-star rated movies. I know like some low rated shows. I never really looked into movies though.
These movies are actually just that. I'll personally give them a rating once I'm done covering each one. And in the end, I'll go over a movie with some of the most 1-star reviews ever, and possibly one of the most hated movies ever. And I'm getting straight into the trash, because the first movie I'm going over is called The Hottie and the Naughty. What y'all think this one's about? With a smooth 2 out of 10 stars and a calm,
What?
just a calm.
What is that?
26,000 1-star reviews. Oh my goodness! This movie's in the top 6 lowest rated movies on
Top
IMDb,
6?
and I never seen it. But
What?
after reading some of these reviews, I had to know what all the fuss was about. Like, listen to this review and tell me you're not at least a little intrigued about how bad this movie could be. A guy by the name of Meeker said,
2008.
"Oh my, that's bad. I am just amazed that, as of this moment, there are 554 people who rated this movie a 10. I would like 10 pounds or 20 gallons of whatever it is that has warped their mentality to such a degree.
Whoa.
Acting, abysmal to non-existent. Script, huh? What's that? Directing, not that I saw. My only regret is that I cannot vote less than 1 out of 10 stars.
Oh, wow.
I had to watch it, and I did. But before I give you my thoughts on it, I know y'all ain't watched it, so let me give you a quick rundown. Alright, so this movie is
Okay.
a rom-com, which
Okay.
it's gonna be bad.
It's a good
We
start.
follow this dude named Nate who just got dumped by his girlfriend. And since he's newly single and never really loved the other girl, I guess,
Okay.
he decides he wants to get back in the game immediately. And instead of
Interesting.
chasing new girls, he wants to rekindle an old love. You know, the one that got away. His first grade crush. That's right. First grade. Who now
First
lives across
grade.
the country and he hasn't seen since
Wait, how do they? What? How do they? How does he remember the?
they were 6 years old. Yep.
How does you
Haven't
remember
seen
them?
each other in 20 years. So this guy Nate travels across the nation to find her, and he does. She turns out to be Paris Hilton, and she even agrees to go on a date with him, but with one catch: she'll go out with him, but he has to find her friend a date as well. Oh, find her friend a date? That shouldn't be so hard.
Oh my goodness!
And so Nate spends the rest of the movie trying to find her a date. And that's all you gotta know for me to tell
Okay.
you that this movie is trash.
Bro,
I mean,
what?
really, I normally hate on rom-coms and call all of them trash.
What?
But y'all, this
What
one
is that?
seriously trash. Like, first of all, for a rom-com, there ain't much calm going on.
Yeah,
in this one.
yeah.
It's not very funny, which is crazy
Okay.
because it has such a funny premise. Like, it's pretty much a take one for the team type of situation, right?
Okay.
Except the guy trying to pull the hottie should realistically be the one with the naughty. Like, it's pretty
That is true though.
funny. But this movie manages to do nothing with it. And that ain't even the only thing they messed up on. Even the girl, I'm not calling her that. The girl June being deemed as ugly, they messed up on that too. It's like the creators of this movie don't even know what it actually means to be ugly. Like, looking at her, you know, she doesn't look the best. But it's not
Yeah.
because she's ugly. It's because she's dirty. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it's the teeth. It's the teeth and the pimple.
There's a difference. Like, ugly to me is like, no matter what you do, you stuck, my boy.
Okay.
I hate to break it to you, but you stuck. But the stuff we see in this movie is like her toenails and teeth rotting. Like, ugh, that's more
Just
gross
fix those,
than
no?
it is ugly. Ugly is different. Ugly is not this.
Yeah.
Like Harvey
Just-
Weinstein. That
Like-
this girl though, she just needs a dentist and a shower. And then
Yeah.
the last thing I want to point out about this movie, and I want to speak on it too long because it's a comedy movie and it's supposed to be ridiculous, but I got it, bro. The fact that this dude traveled cross country.
Nah, cross country for his first grade crush is
He hasn't
crazy.
seen since he was 6. Come on, it gotta be at least a little concerning. At
Yeah.
least a little bit. Like last time you seen him.
And like, how do you know?
Our preschoolers, and that popped
How do you
in
know?
line as the true love of your life. Word. But yeah, this movie is boo boo. Even the ending, you would think it would be something like he falls for the naughty over Paris Hilton to show personality beats looks.
Nah.
But no, he does fall for her, but only after she gets a whole makeover and is no longer ugly to him.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a happy ending, man.
What?
This movie getting 3 out of 10 stars from me.
Actually, we get 2, bro. No plot. First of all, no plot, and the plot doesn't even make sense.
And I'm only
That's a
rating
2
it
for me.
higher because I like his Speed Racer car.
Oh, that is tough.
That's the only reason. But like I usually say, that was only the first movie. The
That's
next
gonna get
one
worse
might
than
be
worse.
even worse. The next movie I got up is titled, be ready, Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. That's the title. Now you may be looking at this movie
Shriek if you know what?
how I was looking at it the first time I seen it. Like, I know you from somewhere, but you don't look right.
Yeah.
You'd be right.
Looks
The movie
familiar.
You might think about a scary movie, but this is
Ooh.
not that. Because this movie, just like Scary Movie, is a parody of a bunch of horror movies released.
So, that is a parody from Scary Movie. I heard Scary Movie is actually like pretty funny. I haven't watched it. I might watch it with like some friends. I need to do that. But a parody of a parody. A parody of a movie that's doing a bunch of parodies on on multiple
in
movies.
the 80s and 90s. But there's a reason you haven't heard of this one. Coming in at 4 stars out of 10. This movie
Holy, that costume looks so
definitely not
bad.
as loved as Scary Movie. But the question is, are people just hating? Is it really a 4 out of 10? Is this movie so bad that it deserves to be called the worst movie ever? Hell yeah. No, look, this movie is not good. But it ain't the worst. It got some funny things going for
Okay.
it, like the killer, you know, because it's a parody of Scream. The killer
Oh.
never actually kills anybody. It's more
I saw that guy in
like
the back.
he accidentally makes them do it themselves. Like this one girl runs into a beehive and dies. Like that's pretty funny. They also
Okay.
got a guy named Bonner in the movie that they always call Boner, which I know it's
Okay.
immature, but I find it funny. And then Coolio's in it. You know, that's
Okay,
cool.
he's hitting that.
Coolio, y'all.
He's
the messed
hitting
up
that.
part is these movies were made around
Nah.
at
Okay.
the same time, but since it got delayed and came out after Scary Movie, some
Ooh.
people called it a parody of Scary Movie. Instead of calling it a parody of the movies, it was actually trying to parody.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's messed up. I was one of those people. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just racist. But I think even if this one did come out
Why that guy look like
first,
Jensen Ackles?
people would still think this one's a parody because the Wayans brother one still would have bodied it. Like, come on, y'all. Let's be real. This one don't got Ray or Shorty.
Yeah, bro, that one scene, that scene, is so
Brenda or
iconic.
Cindy or even Doofy. They do got that one guy from Scary Movie 3, but that ain't the Wayans, bro. That ain't the Wayans. I'm sorry. I think a 4-star rating is too low for this movie, so I'm gonna give it a 4.5. 4.5 stars out of 10 is not
What?
bad. That's not bad at all.
Whether you're a professional or just love getting hands-on with your home projects, Harbor Freight offers quality hand tools.
Oh, especially when you consider the fact that after this movie, it's all downhill from here. Because this next movie I got up might actually be the worst one I've ever covered on this channel. Oh boy, this movie. Coming in at a strong 3.3 out of 10 stars.
108,000 reviews?
When it first released in 2020. And if you
Oh,
don't know,
no.
this junk was everywhere for like a month. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of people, mainly women, who actually like this movie. And you'll see why in a sec. But real quick, before I get into this one, I know some of y'all watch my videos with your friends or your siblings or even your parents. And I'm flattered. I truly am. But y'all gonna have to split up for this movie. I'm serious, especially if you're watching with your parents. Please, just split up, mama, please. That was your warning. Alright, so this movie is about 2 people. An Italian guy by the name of Massimo and a Polish lady named Laura. And their lives are drastically different. Massimo is a cold Italian mafia boss whose father was killed right in front of him. And Laura, her life just isn't as exciting. I mean, yeah, she's a higher up in this sales company, which is pretty cool. But besides that, there's not much going on. Doesn't help either. She's dating this bald freaking couch potato. Never wants to do anything with her. And I mean anything. Which I'll never understand how that stuff happens. I understand if he's like in your 60s, because you know at that point your piece.
Bro, it's too late, bro.
Paralyzed.
Yeah.
But these dudes are like in your 30s. How do you lose love for the game that fast? But yeah, point is, Laura is clearly unsatisfied with her life and definitely unsatisfied by Caillou over here. But things were about to change for Laura, because to get at least a little thrill in her life, she decides to celebrate her 29th birthday in Italy.
Okay.
Italia. You know I know a little Italian myself.
Okay.
Grazie. Prego.
I don't know any
So
Italian.
she gets mad at Caillou for literally ditching her on her birthday.
Nah, that's
this
crazy.
Dude must have lied all over his resume to pull her. Because ditching your lady on her birthday and pulling back up in this fit.
Nah, that's a
Laura
crazy
goes
fit
on
though.
a late night walk to get her mind off in a random town in a country that she does not know. So what do you think happened? She gets kidnapped. And watching this, I thought it was Bowser who was responsible, because Laura wakes up in a castle. And on top of that, when she goes downstairs, she sees a painting of herself hung up on the wall.
That's creepy.
That's Bowser obsession if I've ever seen it. But when she turns around, it wasn't Bowser standing behind her. It was an Italian man. Not Mario. It was Massimo, the guy I told you about from the start. Massimo, what you doing here, my boy? And this when the movie surprised me, but not in a good way. This guy Massimo comes in and not only tells Laura that he's the one who kidnapped her, but he tells her that he did it because he's madly in love with her. Yeah, it turns out the day his father died, Massimo had caught a glimpse of Laura at the beach and couldn't forget about her. Bro,
what?
Your dad just died, and he spent
Bro, just
all these years looking for her, which leads us to now, where he drugged her and kidnapped her so he can finally have her. And for as
that's
crazy as
crazy.
it sounds, it wasn't even done there. Because after the dude tells her how she's not getting her phone back, he tells her he's gonna give her a chance. And I watched this thinking, oh, whew, thank goodness he's gonna let her go. He tells her he's gonna give her a chance. He'll let her go, but only after she stays with him for 365 days, aka a year.
What?
To see if she falls in love with him. And, you know, at this point, I realized why this movie has 31,000 one-star reviews. Cause what the? You telling me this dude drugged and kidnapped this girl in an attempt to swoon her?
Bro, that's not gonna. That's not how it works, bro.
2020. What is wrong with this dude? I mean, really, like, just imagine this. Like, imagine this. Imagine you a dude, right? And you see a girl that you think looks good on the beach. You know, she looks good. And then your dad gets popped right in front of you. You gonna forget that girl. But Massimo is different. It wasn't for the fact that he also got shot too. He probably would have been on the ground with his dad like, Papa, no. You can't leave me, Papa. Hey, that girl on the beach is bad, though. And just think about how confusing that must have been for Laura. Like, this dude over here talking about some, you are the love of my life.
What?
I don't know you.
That's what I'm saying.
At least that's how I thought she'd react. But it really is true what they say. Some people will let you kill them as long as you look good. Because tell me why. All this kidnapping and drugging stuff, this girl Laura was low-key into it. Bro, what the? How is this romantic? Maybe I'm just not the most attractive guy. But I'm pretty sure if I tried any of the stuff this dude does, it would fail horribly. Could you imagine me trying to sneak up behind a girl the way this dude does and use one of his lines? Are you lost, baby? My eyes! Straight to my face. I mean, really, it has to be looks then. You think if this 6'3" mafia boss was instead of 5'5" dude who worked at Kroger, this stuff would be cool or hot? No, this would be a horror movie. I know people let people they find attractive slide with stuff more often, but this is just getting out of hand. You never see me doing this. If a 10 out of 10 invited me over to her crib and she just had a painting of me in her living room, what do you think? I'm gonna just stay and be cool?
Nah, I'm dipping, bro.
Well, I'm gonna think about it. But no, a painting of me without even knowing me is
crazy.
That's
After
seeing
crazy.
something that creepy, I am at most seeing her only like 3 or 4 more times. 5 max. But that's it. I don't know what she's capable of.
Nah, I'm dipping,
I'll be
bro.
honest, y'all. I don't want to continue talking about this movie. But Derek, we gotta know what else happens. What did those women like about it so much? You really want to know? Well, the thing they like about it so much, and the reason I'm stopping here, and the absolute worst thing about this movie is that after this kidnapping scene, right, Laura starts actually falling in love with Little Bill, which is bad enough, but that ain't even the main issue. The issue is after she falls in love with him, this movie becomes a straight up corn film. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I mean it. Straight up corn. Every 10 to 15 minutes, something will go down. In the bedroom, in the shower, on a boat, which is usually their favorite, everywhere, every few minutes for no reason. And as much as some of y'all freaks would like to see, no, y'all gonna have to take my word on it. And that's why this movie, for
I trust
all
them.
its 1-star ratings, was the top movie on Netflix and ended up getting 2 sequels.
2?
And the reason is it's simple. This movie is quite literally a gooner movie for women. That's what it is. Like, these positive reviews will remind you that some women could be just as down bad as some men.
Nah,
Look at some of these.
that's crazy.
Angelica gave it an 8 out of 10 stars and says, wasn't watching for the plot. Then you got Annie, who gave it 9 out of 10 stars and says, makes you feel things, winky face. And then you got the worst one, Bianca, who gave this movie a 10 out of 10 and says, I loved it. My boyfriend hated it instantly. I told him it achieved the goal of the film when I was by it. Shrug emoji, smile emoji, sequel please, a prayer for Bianca's boyfriend. That's only a few of them too. There's some reviews in here that give you a college essay on why this movie was good goons. My female viewers could never. Right, y'all? This one ends with Massimo and Laura falling in love in under 365 days. It only took
Shocker.
3 before he started fucking. And Laura may be getting assassinated by a rival mafia family while she's on the way to tell Massimo she's pregnant. Yeah, pretty messed up ending.
Damn.
Still getting 2 stars from me though. Might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah,
but although it's one of the worst ones, I still have one more extremely low rated movie on. Probably one of the most hated movies of the 2010s.
The Emoji Movie.
Coming in at a whopping 3.5 stars. The Emoji. Unlike 365 Days, where I at least saw a girl I was following, glazing out on her story, I have never seen a single person say they like this movie. On the contrary, every time this movie is brought up, it's just
the worst movie of all time.
The question is it warranted? Spoiler alert, kinda. Alright, so if you don't know, in the Emoji Movie, we follow this emoji named Gene who lives in a place called Textopolis. An emoji world inside of the phone of this middle school kid named Alex.
Yep.
And this emoji world is obviously full of emojis. I mean it. Any emoji your phone has, this world got. I'm talking the crown emoji, the shrimp emoji, the eyes emoji, every emoji, all of them.
Everything.
Every
all
emoji in this world has to behave like what it is. Well, what do I mean? The laughing emoji, no matter what happens, has to always laugh. The crying emoji could win the lottery and have 2 baddies right next to him, and he still has to cry. The smirk emoji could get the most terrible news in the world. I'm sorry, son, but the cancer is now stage 4. The poop emoji, no matter what happens to him, has to always I don't know, smell like shit. My point is, the emojis gotta act like what they are.
Yep.
Which
I remember this
already
movie.
brings up an issue I got with this movie. This little rule of acting like the emoji you are doesn't even apply to every emoji. It doesn't. Like, for example, the movie makes it a huge deal that our main character, Gene, is an emoji that doesn't act like he's supposed to. He's a meh emoji. Y'all know the one that's like disinterested looking, the little sassy side-eye one? That's like, whatever. That one. That's the one he is. But he doesn't act like that all the time. Sometimes he'll laugh, sometimes he'll smile,
Anomaly.
sometimes he'll smirk. And the other emojis in Textopolis shame him for that. This is some BS. It's favoritism if you ask me. They'll say the emoji.
Like, aren't there like some? There are probably some emojis that can act as anything.
Great character, but then you got the poop emoji laughing while coming out the bathroom. Like, I'm pretty sure mine doesn't do that. Does y'all's? And then the elephant emoji over here cracking jokes. Like, I know they ride tricycles, but I ain't never seen one do stand up. It's favoritism. It's some systematic favoritism against the yellow emojis. And besides it not being applied evenly, it also just brings up so many questions. If emojis gotta act like what they are all the time, would the kissing emoji be a hoe? Constantly having to kiss up on people? What about the people emojis? What would the white or black guy emoji act like emoji movie? Huh? You wanna tell us? I already know the Dominican flag emoji never gonna be on time. Shit. It's stupid. They're stupid. The rules of this universe just don't make sense to me. That was only the start of my issues with this movie. Because I don't know if y'all remember, but the plot, even dumber. All the problems in this movie start because the emojis failed to, get this, help this kid Alex bag his crush. I'm not joking.
Could just talk to them?
He probably wondering why. Well, what happened was, when he was texting her in class and he wanted to send her the meh emoji, Gene made the wrong face. So when Alex sent it, his crush was not rocking with it. And I'm sorry, if all it takes is one misclicked emoji to mess up your chance,
that's lucky messed up.
Girl,
that's not for you.
Just give up. The girl did not like you.
It's not for you, bro.
Unless you randomly send like the eggplant or drool emoji, that might be on you. But yeah, his crush was not rocking with it. And Alex does what I think any sensible person would do. After a small texting blunder like this. Delete everything on his phone.
Delete everything is crazy. Like,
off one texting mistake,
one emoji by the way.
Candy Crush glitching and randomly saying tasty. He wants to factory reset his phone. And when I saw this, man, talk about privilege. When I was this kid's age, I had a broken Obama phone. Do y'all remember Obama phones? Those were those free phones you could get when Obama was president.
Wait, there was free phones when Obama was president?
All my friends had iPhone 7s and the newest Samsungs. I was over here struggling to text my mom one sentence.
Walter White phone.
And you don't even want to know how pissed I was when Flappy Bird came out. And on top of that, it was broken. And I spent seasons with this junk. And this dude about to reset his phone because he got custom emojis and Candy Crush acting up.
Custom emoji is pretty cool, no?
But yeah, that leads Gene on a journey where he has to survive, I'm not joking, Candy Crush, Just Dance, and possibly worst of all, falling for a goth girl. Oh my goodness. Also, he can fix himself so he can become meh all the time. Mind you, all of this is happening while at the same time trying to avoid being deleted by these robots and trying to stop the kid Alex from wiping his phone.
What?
Yeah, that 3.5 starting to look really accurate. When this movie originally came out in 2017, I ain't watch it. And looking back on it now, thank goodness. If I would have seen something this bad back then,
in
I'm not
theaters, waste of money, bro.
Depression. That was peak sad Bart Simpson edit era. I couldn't risk that. I'll say this though, only thing maybe saving this movie maybe is its message. But even then, I don't think I even agree with it. From what I've gathered, the message in this movie is supposed to be, you know, the usual don't change for anyone. Just because you're different or a standout like Gene doesn't mean you should conform to society's rules and become bland. Which is nice and all, but again, this is some bullshit. Yes, I believe you shouldn't change for anyone, but if you being different leads to the real life equivalent of the end of the world, just conform, bro. Be bland. Keep them emoji faces to yourself. This is our lives on the line we're talking about. This one ends with Gene embracing being different and who he is after having a heart-to-heart with his father, who can also express himself in different ways, I guess. And then right before they get deleted, he helps Alex bag his crush, saving them all. Because it turns out you don't need to give a girl compliments.
Yeah, you need the right emoji, of course.
To woo her over. You don't even gotta say anything at all.
Yep.
Just send her a cool emoji. That'll do it.
Yep.
Just because I think this movie's rating is deserved does not mean I think this is the worst one of the video. That title was going to 365 days. Because yeah, with the emoji movie, most of the jokes weren't funny. The world kind of doesn't make sense. And they had a dance party at the end. Like, oh my goodness. At least it's watchable. Like, I could play this in the background while I'm doing something and not care. 365 days though, I can't watch that. So nothing's topping 365 days. No pun intended. That's pretty much all the movies I'm gonna go over this time. I'm sorry this took so long. Y'all don't.
No, it's so good. That was a good movie. That's a good. That's a good video. That was a pretty good video. Yeah, I remember watching the movie as a kid. Alright. I'm gonna put on some Fall Guys. I know. Crazy, right? Fall Guys in the Big 2-5. Low key, I've been like, I downloaded it recently, and like, I've been wanting to play it because I've been seeing Queso play it a lot, and it been looking kind of fun. So I thought I might play it. I played a game or two yesterday, easily won, by the way. Just farming at this point. But yeah. Bam 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 bam. When did they collab with this? I don't remember. Anyways, we do solos because I know the ranked has custom maps and I don't like the custom maps. We'll play like a round and then call it there, I think, because I've got some stuff I want to do in terms of content and a lot of stuff. So, oh, and the reason why I started this stream, the game I want to start playing, it's between a couple. Right, The Witcher's up there, but I've been told there's a DLC coming out soon, so I should wait. Detroit Become Human, but I don't want to do another choose your own thing right after I played The Walking Dead. Days Gone. Yeah, mainly those three. Holy, this is loud! Ah! Holy Aura. That's gonna be on the left. Aura! Aura farming! Aura farming. On the left again. Aura! Absolute Aura, by the way. In the lead. All the way left. Damn it. Okay, yep. I just lost all my Aura. I'm in debt now. Go. Move! Go. 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 Go, 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 go! Nice first round, nice first round, nice first round. Nice first round. Light work. Goodbye. So yeah, it's between Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, and The Witcher. Maybe Resident... No, I want to save Resident Evil. I want to play one more game before we start playing a bunch of Resident Evil. So it's between those 3 games. And yeah, let me know. Because it's very hard for me to choose. Beep, beep, beep. Meow. All right, here we go. Watch this. Oh my gosh, I almost just died. I almost just died. I almost just died. I almost just lost it right there. Out of the way, out of the way. Oh my gosh! Ah! Oh! Okay. No! No! Alright guys, if you guys enjoyed today's stream, make sure to consider following, consider subscribing, and I'll be seeing you guys hopefully tomorrow. I do want to start one of those few games. Alright. Bye. Bye.